Not only is the federal occupation hurting businesses, the president's reprehensible rhetoric has led right-wing grifters to show up here to terrorize our community.
Nobody is able to come into our country except for those that come in legally. We want to have people come in legally. We need people to come in legally, but they have to show that they can love our country, not hate our country. They have to show that they're not going to blow up our shopping centers, blow up our farms, kill people. They're coming in legally, but they cannot come in unless they come in legally into our country, and we're letting some great people come in. They have to show that they can love our country. They have to be proud. Not like Ilhan Omar. Did you see that wise guy? You know, she's always talking about the Constitution, provides me with the following. The Constitution, she comes from a country that's a disaster. It's considered, I think, the worst. It's not even a country, okay? It barely has a government. I don't think it does. They go to one thing, pirates. But they don't do that anymore. You know why? Because they get the same treatment from us as the drug dealers get. Boom, boom, boom. I don't care what ship they're attacking. When they attack, when we say them going in, ping, that's the end of it.
A partial government shutdown has been touted to force US federal troops out of Minnesota as the president accuses the Minneapolis mayor of failing to comply with strict immigration laws, writing, surprisingly, Mayor Jacob Frey just stated that Minneapolis does not and will not enforce federal immigration laws. This after having a very good conversation with him. Could somebody in his inner sanctum please explain that this statement is a very serious violation of law and that he's playing with fire? Despite attempts to quell tensions within the city, the disagreement over immigration laws remains a point of significant contention.
Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar confronted and sprayed by a man in the audience last night during a town hall event in Minneapolis. It's not clear what the substance was, and Omar later said she was okay. The man, identified as 55-year-old Anthony Kazmierczyk, was arrested. No word yet on motive, but Omar had just called for ICE to be abolished.
Of the people!
And last night in New York, police had to break up an anti-ICE protest that had taken over a hotel lobby.
I hope you remember us for the midterms.
President Trump in Iowa last night defending immigration enforcement in Minnesota.
We've taken out thousands of hard criminals, hardened, vicious, horrible criminals.
But many Democrats in Congress are now willing to upend this week's government funding deadline to target the Department of Homeland Security. Some are even calling for the firing or impeachment of DHS Secretary Kristi Noem.
I think it's going to be very hard for us to avoid a shutdown.
Hard to avoid because the funding plan had already been negotiated, and renegotiating it at this point will almost certainly blow the Friday deadline. But while some Democrats welcome recently lowered tensions in Minnesota with the arrival of border czar Tom Homan, that may only go so far.
I don't think administrative actions only are going to be enough, but there are some big steps that President Trump could take in the next few days that would signal seriousness.
But some of those steps, like removing all federal immigration agents from Minnesota, are not likely to happen before Friday.
Well, I think my presence here should tell you that the fear and intimidation doesn't work on me. And, you know, you and I have talked about this many a times. The president's rhetoric, the attacks from him since I've gotten into public office from the right wing has always been really to stop me from being in public service. to intimidate me, to make me want to quit. And my only message is it hasn't worked thus far and it's not going to work in the future. And what the facts have shown since I've gotten into elected office is that every time the President of the United States has chosen to use hateful rhetoric to talk about me and the community that I represent, my death threats skyrocket. It is ironic that just last night he was on stage moments before I was attacked talking about me. And then when asked about my attack, he said, I don't think about her. Does he not remember? Is he suffering from dementia? How do you spend 20, 30 minutes on stage obsessing over me by name multiple times, and then moments later say, Ilhan Omar, I don't think about her.
Yeah, I think that's unquestionable because obviously it's been heavy-handed policing. There's been 2 tragic deaths, but a lot of the protesting has been way over the top and it's been egged on by the governor, no less, and many other politicians. Let's have a look at what Donald Trump has had to say, his latest.
We view that as a very unfortunate incident, okay? Everyone, unless you're a stupid person, very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
And unusually, we've heard from the First Lady as well.
We need to unify. I'm calling for unity. I'm against the violence, so if we protest in peace. And we need to unify in these times.
Good advice from Melania there, Tom. This is the issue, though, isn't it? If you're going to have protesters trying to disrupt police operations and they're armed when they're doing it, that is a recipe for disaster. What can Trump do to cool this down?
Tone down the rhetoric is the first thing. I mean, these ICE shootings of 2 innocent people, I think it just highlighted the danger of overreach, and the administration's description of these people as domestic terrorists, I think, was simply wrong. I mean, the last person, Alex Petty, was a nurse with no criminal record. So I think the language needs to calm down because all of this has just fueled public anger. And it's made many Americans feel that the immigration enforcement, this is the ICE, is making the cities less safe. And there's broad discomfort, including among Republicans. But it goes both ways. When you have left-wing Democrats and radical socialists saying that the ICE killings amounted to murder and an execution, that is way over the top. And that brings me back to Laura Tingle. Why a seemingly impartial, objective reporter at a taxpayer-funded broadcaster would report that this was murder? She's basically taking the sides of the left-wing partisans in this stoush, whereas a good ABC journalist should try to be as impartial as possible. But that's Laura Tingle for you. So look, feelings are very emotional on both sides, both the Democrat left and the Republican right, the MAGA movement. It's now up to the president to do everything he can to tone this down.